Safest map, generally speaking, in terms of opening build orders. Also, Metropolis cross positions was really safe. Both players went hatch first. Daybreak, also another map that's pretty safe to go hatch first, but we'll explain that a little bit more after introductions. Andre, take us away.
In the top right-hand position as the red Zerg, the person that is currently up 1-0, it is TSL Hyun. Spawning over here on Daybreak. Bottom left-hand position as the purple Zerg, we have, of course, Liquid Zenio, who is trailing 0-1. Now, it is Daybreak, as you were saying, 15 hatch is very prevalent. But normally we have these stalemate games where you go into plus 25 minutes at least before you even have a confrontation. Although Sen and Stefano proving that you can have a game on this map before 15 that ends before 15 minutes. Very interesting to see if Zenio or Hyun actually try to exercise something like that. Yeah, I feel like there was definitely a big difference in the meter control, though, between Sen's games against Stefano and Zenio. I mean, the utility, I think, that's the most important thing. It's not where they die or how they die, but what are they doing? That's what we want to ask ourselves. Not only what are they killing, what is the purpose of the mutas when all things are said and done? Why are we here?
What is the meaning of life? At least that's what I wake up thinking every day. But another thing to kind of consider, as we do see already an immediate deviation of build orders. Hyun going for a little bit safer route, going for a delayed pool, while Zenio goes hatch first. It is safe to go hatch first, Andre. Can you care to explain why?
Yeah, the distance on Daybreak is just so substantial that by the time your Zerglings get all the way over across the field, it really doesn't mean anything. Hyun is doing something a little bit more defensive. I guess he kind of feels like he just wants to be extra safe. He will take a small economic loss. It's around 1 to 2 drones that you're really losing with this. Or I should say 1 to 2 larvae. It doesn't have to be a drone. But in the end, I think when everything's said and done, Hyun is just choosing to play a little bit safer so he doesn't die to something like a 10 pool.
Yeah, and even if they do 10 pool, you can still generally hold off things really well. Because again, the Overlord has a nice ability to kind of see that at a good time, because the Overlord's speed buff does help a lot. Look at that, Hyun's also just going to go straight to the main with his Overlord. Normally, instead of tucking it behind, or instead of tucking it behind the natural expansion, goes straight into the main. That's kind of cheeky there.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You know, a lot of times this first Overlord is actually going to watch the gases. The gases are a great indicator to tell you, okay, well, is my opponent stopping gas production over here and they're just droning up? That's a great indicator, because it's either a huge drone up or it's going to be a huge circling run by. The other thing is, when is the second gas coming up? So a lot of times in my ZVZs, I'll actually park like a couple Overlords, one over here, and just check how much gas is in those and what my opponent is really capable of. But Hyun going to play it just a zoning control, and I don't mind that at all either. That's obviously the more standard, more orthodox way of actually playing this out.
Ooh! Please tell me you saw Hyun deflect those 2 Zerglings. That was really cool. Just using the Queen and the Zerglings to block the area around it. And I know that may seem really small, but even something as simple as like seeing if he's still collecting gas from the geyser and just going for straight like speed in that case and trying to sneak in drones is really significant. This early stage of ZVZ, so
that's right.
I just like that denial of information.
I do too. I mean, I think it's no question about it. StarCraft 2 is a game of intelligence and being able to know as much as possible about your opponent. And if you can know everything, then you're able to elevate your play to another level. I mean, the best example of that, if any of you actually play ladder, you've met up against hackers, and you can tell they are god-awful. Their mechanics are terrible, but they're making these moves that's like, oh, that's a really smart move if you don't actually see everything on the map. But they do. You need to make it like you can see everything on the map. That's something that in and of itself is so challenging in StarCraft.
But doesn't it make it that much more rewarding, Andre, when you beat them?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. In StarCraft 1, there was a very common hack called the Oblivion hack, which would actually auto-macro, and you can have multiple building selection as well.
Really?
Yeah.
So okay.
They played basically cool. StarCraft 2
and
StarCraft 1.
StarCraft 2 for that. That's crazy.
But you can tell, because a lot of times their actions just didn't match up to their macro. Their macro would be insanely good. They would be able to hold off a lot of pressure and actually do a lot of pressure. But when it came down to it, there would be complete dunks when they actually controlled their army. It was awesome.
Well, we'll see how Hyun's able to fend off of these Banelings, using 2 Banelings for 2 Banelings thus far. And looks like those 3 other Banelings are trying to get out of there. You know, my favorite hack from StarCraft Brood War was the one where you can stack static defense. You can put a bunch of cannons into one thing if you just like remove your own vision. Do you remember that?
I do.
That was a really fun way to play, because then no one would ever, they would always think, oh, 1 cannon, and then like 5 fire at the same time and just insta-snipe anything that comes.
You know, there was this, well, hold on, I'll talk about that in a little bit. A huge round of Zergling Baneling actually working across the field. Hyun is the one putting on the aggression, but behind this actually going Spire Tech. Very, very cool. And I love the progression of how he's doing this. It's hitting at a timing where Zenio actually wants to take a 3rd base, but he can't anymore. And that's really, really difficult for him.
I feel like transitioning, Andre.
I don't know where Zenio is actually, somehow or another, I think just he just doesn't have enough stuff, Frodan.
He's in the middle of switching to everything. He's getting Clear Constitution and +1. The ramp has been compromised. The Zerglings are in the main base already. And this is before the Roaches are hatching. There's still a good 5-10 seconds. That means so much because Zenio's drones are already having to retreat. The Queens are also in prime position to get surrounded. The Roaches are hatching. Good transfuses thus far, but these Queens dropping is so huge to the production of capability of Zenio.
That's right. This +1 attack doesn't exist anymore because those Queens are gone. That's such a valuable attack. Hyun takes a massive advantage. And look at that production tab. 7 mutas on the way. Frodan, this is beautiful for Hyun.
And no Queens.
Yeah, he's providing the killing blow, really. Or at least setting him up for the killing blow.
This is really smart. Hyun taking a 3rd base. Now he controls the map, and Zenio can't really march out because it doesn't have that production to overwhelm you. You know, there's some times where if you catch them going mutas, you can time at the 3rd, and that way, even though they have mutas, they don't only have the DPS to shoot down the Roaches.
Yeah.
But Zenio doesn't have the massive Roaches that he really needs. He just got 2 more Queens out. He doesn't even have Spores ready in position to deal with these mutas. This is such smart tactical play by Hyun.
That's right. And when you work around your opponent's base and see, oh my, you haven't had your infestation pit up, you actually keep going more mutas. It's just that effective. Yes, Hydra's versus mutas, a lot of times you can be in a bad position, but there it is, GG. Oh. Zenio knows it's over.
Quick tap outs from Zenio, realizing his bad position will only get worse. Hyun with a 2-0 over 2 of the strongest players in his division, Puma and Zenio. Welcome to the NASL. Great play.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, the newcomer beating the veterans, that's
lots
so
of,
cool.
Lots of like chain decision making and forced reactions out of Zenio. I was very impressed with Hyun's his choices all throughout the series.
I agree. I felt like Zenio might have played a little sloppy, especially with that first attack. I really don't think that exists or a timing exists on that map. But let's kick it over to Vibe and Rotterdam and see what they actually had to say about that match.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. I think that game kind of spoke for itself. With Vibe, take it away. Shine your light on it.
No problem. I think the beginning of that game was pretty standard. It was like the standard Ling Baneling fights, and nothing really happened at the very beginning. So as you can see, Hyun's defense was pretty good. He didn't let any damage be taken to his economy. But he made a large round of units right after that, and he did a really nice counterattack. He picked off a few crucial Banelings of Zenios, and then he ended up just making a nice little run by. He took a chance kind of running up that ramp because he didn't know for sure if there was any Banelings left on that ramp, but the chance ended up being really good for him because there wasn't. And then that ended up giving him about probably like 10 or 15, or I don't know about 15, but probably like 10 drone kills, and then he ended up getting all the Queens as well. And the fact that he had a perfect transition right after that, which was the Mutalisk, because there was no Infestors out, no Hydra, and all the Queens just died. So there was really no answer to the follow-up Hydra attack after that. So it all came down to that one little attack that Hyun did on Zenio, where he just bypassed the other Baneling, and then that pretty much ended the game right there.
What do you think accounted for the huge disparity in units for Zenio? Because when we saw that big battle and the big confrontation, they were pretty much equal in Harvesters, but it just looked like Hyun had maybe a whole production round of units more than his opponent.
Well, Zenio was setting up to take a 3rd, so that might have had something to do with it, whereas Hyun was just straight taking to lair, and then he was kind of committing to 2 bases really fast. So I think that Zenio might have halted his production a little bit just to go for that 3rd, and then he ended up canceling it anyways because the attack was on its way. So I think that's probably the main reason why he had a little bit less.
All right. Thank you,
well,
Vibe.
I sure as hell enjoyed those games, and it's nice to see that Hyun is doing as well as, well, actually many of us predicted. I don't want to say it was just me, but when I saw that he was going to be part of Season 4, I pretty much said it since day one.
You actually predicted that Hyun was going to win it. Frodan predicted that Hyun was going to win it. I actually felt like he was, but I was like, well, Zenio's been here.
Zenio is great. Like, I can understand. Like, it was still going to be a coin flip because Zenio is a great player, and last week he played fantastic as well.
Honestly, man, these games didn't look like a coin flip.
No.
Hyun
was great, and I really can't wait to see more of him in season
Not going to bet against Hyun again, that's for sure. But thank you guys, and that's going to do it for that match. So far, just to recap the day, we had 2 ZVZs, a 2-1 win for Sen over Stefano, and now a 2-0 win for Hyun.
That's right, Andre. Your prediction for Zenio didn't pan out, but you know what? Who you can always predict on, as the next series is Cloud versus Galaxy. I was going to do a sponsor plug there, NASL graphics guy, but that's cool. We can do that too. You know who you can bet on? You can bet on Azo monitors, the people who provide the best in monitor technology production. Pick up your own copy at azo.com/NA. We'll be back with our next series of the day as teased, Cloud versus Galaxy, European on Korean action. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. This is Week 3, Division 2.